Assalamu alaikum. Hello, parents. Welcome to Cool Mom Super Dad, your companion on this roller coaster ride called parenthood. I'm your host, Jamila Samian, a parenting author and speaker. Has it ever occurred to you how marriage shapes your parenting experience? Children in happy, stable marriages feel more secure, perform better in school, and have less disciplinary issues. Allah states in the Quran in Surah Ar-Rum, Surah 30, verse 21, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُم مَّوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. Sadaqallahul Azim. Meaning, and among his signs is that he created mates for you from yourselves that you may find comfort in them. And he put between you love, i.e. mawaddah, and compassion, i.e. rahmah. Most surely there are signs in this for a people who reflect. Unquote. In this episode, let us talk about how deliberate and constant acts of kindness can develop love and make a difference to the long-term success of your marriage. A wise man said, constant kindness can accomplish a lot. As the sun makes ice melt, kindness causes misunderstanding, mistrust, and hostility to evaporate. How true! Every kind act you choose to do opens the doors of goodwill and trust. There are situations where kindness may not make sense, especially when one spouse is plain irresponsible. These include drug addiction, alcoholism, an abusive marriage, failure to provide the basic needs. There is no such thing as one solution to every problem. Marriage can be tricky, but look at any successful relationship between man and woman where both parties are truly contented, and chances are kindness has a big part to play. Take away kindness and the relationship is likely to wither eventually. Kindness is the secret to conquering a human heart, man or woman, family or friend. If things fail to work between you and your spouse, you can't change him or her, but you can change you. The way you talk, how you express your thoughts, how you choose to interpret a given situation. Ask yourself, how can I say this in a way to inspire him or her to see and do things better? To start with, consider these examples to win your spouse over with your kindness. Example number 1. Be sensitive. It might be not to watch a YouTube video, help her clean up after dinner instead. It might be not to ignore the piling laundry, throw it into the wash so you and her could have half an hour of downtime together. Example number 2, watch your tongue. It might mean self-restraint, keeping your lips sealed. Resist the urge to dig out a past she would rather forget. It might mean not to blurt out, "It's your fault," when he made an error, or not to vent out your anger when you are really upset. Wait for an opportune time when both of you have the energy and in the right frame of mind to sit and talk to each other. Example number 3, share the praise and share the blame. The first part is easy. Who doesn't want to be recognized for a job well done? The second part is tricky. It goes against your pride and ego. The next time something goes wrong, accept your share of the blame. Memorize the mantra, it's not you against me. It's me and you against the problem. I repeat, it's not you against me, it's me and you against the problem. Your marriage might just take a leap forward. You might have noticed that the 3 examples I have just highlighted are practical behaviors you could do immediately. The key word here is deliberate, meaning you do it intentionally. The word deliberate can be used as an acronym to suggest ways to grow love in a marriage. D for dedication. Show dedication to your spouse by consistently investing time, effort, and energy into the relationship. E for empathy. Practice empathy by understanding and sharing your partner's feelings, perspectives, and experiences. L for listening. Be an active listener by paying attention to your partner's thoughts and concerns without interruption. Intentional is for I. Be intentional in your actions and behaviors, making conscious efforts to express love, appreciation, and support. Next, we have B, bonding. Cultivate shared experiences, interests, and memories to strengthen the emotional bond between you and your spouse. E, for emotional support. Be there for your spouse during both the good times and the challenging moments. R, for respect. Show respect for your spouse's individuality, opinions, and boundaries to foster a sense of mutual admiration. Moving on, we have A for affection. Express affection through gestures, words, and physical touch to nurture intimacy and connection. T for trust. Build and maintain trust by being honest, reliable, and transparent in your interactions with your spouse. And finally, we have E for endurance. Show resilience and commitment by going through challenges together. There you have it, the acronym for deliberate. Kindness is the ingredient that can grow love in a marriage. The research I did to write the book, The Kindness Miracle, only strengthened my belief that you can still be deeply in love with your spouse no matter how long you have been married. I don't mean the kind of love that revolves around convenience. You do some work and I do some. We share the workload as roommates do. I'm talking about the kind of love where you look forward to see and talk to each other every day. What if you are having a rough ride in your marriage? It could be that you have been married for some years to the person you thought was your only soulmate. Once upon a time, before marriage and the early days of marriage, you had so much to tell each other. Yet, for some reason you don't quite understand, you have somehow drifted apart and love is no longer in the air. If this is true of you, there is still hope for you and your spouse to work together to recapture the love you have lost. Let us look at the 3 myths of love and marriage. Myth number 1, love is too much of a mystery. You can't grow it. Falling in love is a mystery. Growing love and staying in love isn't. We have yet to pin down how and why people fall in love in a romantic way. But once you have fallen in love, to grow your love and to stay in love is not a mystery. Deliberate and constant acts of kindness play a big part in growing the love between you and your spouse. Growing love is much like growing a tree. Just as water, earth, sunlight, and fertilizer make a plant grow, kind words and actions make your marriage strong, happy, and full of love. Myth number 2, you must be perfect to be loved and happily married. Nothing is further from the truth. Happily married couples are as imperfect as you and I. They are not free of life's problems. They don't lead perfect lives. Happily married couples go broke at times, get fired from their dream jobs, have inconsiderate in-laws, experience car breakdowns, and have toddlers who scream and yell in supermarkets. Happily married women might go through premenstrual syndrome or might have gained weight through childbirth. Happily married men might not have fat wallets or trim bellies. Truly, some of the happily married men have steadily receding hairlines that would soon add them to the statistic of bald and happily married men. Staying in a mansion where a butler is on standby day and night is not a prerequisite to staying happily married either. Having lots of money might help, but only to a degree. Kindness is to accept your spouse's imperfections knowing full well that you yourself are not free from shortcomings and misjudgments. Myth number 3, the magic of love never lasts. We read in the papers every day about celebrities who decide to part ways because of irreconcilable differences. We see neighbors, family, and friends whose marriages have slipped into a union of convenience. In these marriages, husbands and wives fall into the humdrum of life, what we normally call a boring, predictable way of life. They don't look or talk to each other in loving terms. It would seem that love is meant to fade after years of marriage, but solid research exists out there which proves otherwise. In these independent researches conducted by different experts, husbands and wives who have tied the knot for decades spoke of deep and intimate relationships with each other. Here is proof that the magic of love can and does stay forever if you know what to do to sustain and grow it with deliberate and constant acts of kindness. These researchers speak not of a few husbands and wives, but a number of them. And why haven't you heard of them? Simply because staying happily married for decades isn't considered news in the media. I distinctly remember reading about such a couple who had been married for decades and who were generous enough to share their sacred routine at bedtime. Every night, the husband would stretch his arm for his wife to lie on and then would whisper in her ear, "Honey, this is the best part of my day." Do you think that this husband and his wife did everything perfect for each other every single moment of their lives? Surely not. He might have forgotten to flush the toilet. She might have left her smelly socks by the door. But they choose to transcend beyond these daily annoyances. Speaking to your spouse in such a warm tone is a simple act of kindness that doesn't require much effort, but is almost certain to draw out the noble part of her in return. If this isn't kindness, I don't know what is. It is virtually impossible to maintain a deep and intimate relationship in the long run in the absence of kindness. Love stands as a truly strong glue that binds men and women together. We are talking about the kind of love where seeing your spouse is a regular highlight of your day. The kind of love where you and your spouse could break into laughter over matters which might not even make sense to others. It doesn't matter where your marriage is right now, unless you are in an abusive marriage or your spouse is addicted to falling in and out of love with another person, in which case the smart thing to do is to pack your bags and leave. What you do from this moment on can and will impact your marriage, either positively or negatively. I urge you to pause and reflect. Decide you want an awesome marriage. Happily married couples and not so happily married couples differ in their mindset. Happily married couples know and fully accept that marriage is a commitment. When faced with a problem, instead of complaining, happily married couples either go around it, over it, or through it. Worst come to worst, they negotiate it, but they don't avoid or ignore it. To a happily married couple, commitment means let's do everything possible to make our marriage work. They perceive and respond to life's problems differently. That said, some happily married couples do face more and greater challenges in life than you can imagine. Understand that couples who stay happily married after years of being together are not just plain lucky. They succeeded because they are determined to make their marriage succeed. Sometimes it's not even a matter of doing, but more a matter of seeing things from a fresh perspective. It's the ability to see things from a different way that can resolve a seemingly tough issue and turn things around. You and your spouse are God's gift to one another. God gives us what we need, not what we want. You and your spouse share a precious history that no one else is privy to. Regardless of the state of your relationship today, your marriage has brought you together. In this episode, we covered the subject of kindness, how deliberate and constant acts of kindness can grow love between you and your spouse to create a more stable home for you to raise your children. We also talked about how growing love is not a mystery, but rather an emotion, a feeling, and commitment that can be developed with deliberate and constant acts of kindness. As parents, how we carry ourselves, the kind of interactions we have with our spouses and children will color our lives today and in the future. We lead our children all the time through our words, actions, and decisions. Nobody is a perfect parent, but by being mindful of what we say and do, we can motivate, encourage, and inspire our children to be the best they can be. Parenting is full of ups and downs. With patience, persistence, love, and a never give up spirit, no challenge is insurmountable. Let us redefine what it means to be a cool mom or a super dad. This is Jamila Samian of Cool Mom Super Dad. Hit that subscribe button, buckle up, and let's create a better roadmap and experience for navigating parenthood. Cool Mom Super Dad, because together we'll do better.